Well guys, welcome back. Today we have a ton of small miscellaneous stuff that we have to do on the Honda build. In the last couple episodes, we've been building the motor, the trans, we got our all-wheel drive system done, we have all of the big things done. But today we have to go through and do all of the boring, tedious stuff. Now in front of us, we have a ton of miscellaneous goodies that we're of course gonna cover in today's episode. But here is our full brake system that we need to go ahead and install. I did opt in and delete the brake booster. It's gonna be a much cleaner look in the engine bay, even though I know that the brake feeling is going to be substantially worse. But we have a ton of goodies that we need to cover in today's episode. Now for starters, we are getting rid of this huge, disgusting, bulky brake booster, and we are going to go ahead and throw on our nice Willwood Chase Bays brake booster delete. It's going to clean up the engine bay. I mean, that looks so much better than having a gross box in there. I do know that it's gonna make the braking a lot harder to brake, but truthfully, it does not matter for this car, and it's gonna make this engine bay look amazing. Now with the dash removed and the car up in the air, we need to go ahead and completely drop down our subframe. That's suspension, everything, as we need to go ahead and install our billet rack and pinion piece. As I don't want to leave a gaping hole there, did not realize that you could not do that with the subframe in the car. So we have to go ahead and backtrack a little bit. But that's all right, because with the dash removed, it's gonna be a million times easier to get the pedals in the proper position in there instead of having to try to crawl under. Plus, we do have to do some dash modifications. Also, make sure you guys stay tuned for the end of the video, as I just took delivery of one of the biggest aesthetic pieces for this car. It's either gonna look absolutely amazing or it's gonna look horrible. I really hope it looks good. Now in theory, if we raise the car up on the lift, it should keep the subframe on our table, and then we can slide our rack and pinion bracket on, I hope. You know what the best part is about building cars, really from the chassis up, is you are missing so many small things. And for some reason, I thought that this rack and pinion sleeve would come with the rubber insulator. It does not, so unfortunately we can't install this today. So we have to go ahead, take a step away from that, and probably continue finishing our brake lines. So obviously we have our master and our slave cylinder. Our slave is going to be a completely different system. We're not putting them in parallel. So we have one fitting coming out of the master. This hard line is going to go straight into the chassis like this, because this is a full tucked kit. So all of the lines are going to be inside the car and then routed directly to each caliper. So this goes into the chassis. And once our line is in here, it's going to tee off on our firewall. And then on each wheel well, we're going to have to drill a hole up here. And then these fittings will come out just like that. This line's obviously going to be on the inside. And then our line goes directly here to the brakes, I hope. And then it's easy. The rear end line is just like this. It goes straight back, but now we are adding a staging brake. So we do have to customize, or probably do a custom line to go to our staging brake, because this is a pass-through, so it's gonna come in and out. We also do need to tie in our brake bias, and then it gets split all the way back to the car and then splits off to the rear brakes. So I'll set you guys down, start doing some drilling, and hopefully make this thing work. crazy what a proper metal bit will do. Crazy. Yeah, before we were using I didn't realize there were wood bits. I have a hole in my chassis. Now the scary part is we need to see if this is the right area. It should be, theoretically. So now with our 2 chassis holes for our brake lines, these are the brake lines supplied from Chase Bay. This is the fitting that's gonna be going in between inside the chassis to outside. This nut is gonna kind of sandwich it together. So we're gonna go ahead and place on the first couple lines, and hopefully I did this thing right. So that line's gonna go in there. Let me kind of tighten this. This will get routed.
Oh, really?
It'll get routed like somehow like this, and it'll meet in the middle.
That's sick.
Damn!
That's a lot of line.
This is, huh?
It's a lot of line. No?
This is a lot of line. It'll kind of probably go up because it tees off, and then it's gonna split down and go down the trans tunnel. Also, this is really cool. I just got my Maven mountain. This is for my quick disconnect for my engine harness. It fits perfectly where the stock AC control is, which is awesome. This is gonna be, looks really good. I don't have to drill another hole in the chassis. And then on the inside, it's gonna be bolted exactly where I want it because the ECU is gonna sit practically right where that is. That's really cool. I don't have to do any other chassis modifications, and it's gonna be sick. It's in a perfect spot too, I think, because our catch can is gonna be right here. I don't think it should interfere with this. If it does, I'll go ahead and have Strayed make me a custom one, but it shouldn't have any problems, and that thing looks sick. So now what we need to do, since our front brakes are now done, we need to make our way to the rear, but before we can do that, I am adding a staging brake, and I have my bias valve I'm gonna be attaching right next to it. So we have to go through and drill out our trans tunnel and trans tunnels. It's called a trans tunnel even though it's actually never had a trans in that tunnel. But we have to get that drilled out so we can get our adapter plate bolted down, so we can get our staging brake and our bias valve bolted, as we probably will have to do a custom line from the master to the start of our staging brake, since this is a pass-through. So we have to go, regardless, we have to get this mounted first, drilled out, get it bolted down, mount that stuff up, and then make our way to the rear brakes. Since I did go through and weld shut this trans tunnel, because I kind of wanted to start from scratch when I put this car together, we have to go through and riv nut this. This is an M8, so we have to go ahead and get the plate mounted. I probably am gonna drill from the bottom of it because I can see where the old holes were. So we'll go ahead and get that drilled out and then get our new riv nuts placed in. I think a smaller bit is our friend here. Now we should be able to open it up, I hope. To self, never weld shut a hole that you're gonna just re-drill through later. That took way too long, but we're gonna go ahead and put our first, no, that just popped right in, riv nut in. We're gonna go ahead and crimp that down. We're gonna drill the rest from the top because we'll just go ahead and get this centered to where it needs to be. And then we should have better force pushing down, but let's go ahead and get this thing installed. All the holes are drilled out. Time to put our last 2 pieces in here. There we go, we got these subframe and put back into the car. We have our brake system, at least our front end done. And then we even got our Maven engine quick disconnect mounted on here. I drilled through the firewall here, got it bolted down. Now we have our engine harness. It fits perfectly where the stock AC unit was, which is awesome. The only downside is the catch cans that fit here, unfortunately does not fit. So I'll have the boys at Strayed make me a custom one because this spot is just way too good of a spot to have an engine harness. So I had to make a little sacrifice there, but that looks insane. But now we can make our way onto getting the motor and trans placed back inside our car. Now our new friends over at Innovative Mounts, they sent us a complete new kit, but what's special is obviously the motor mounts here. Take a look at what they did for us. Polished 100% billet mounts. These things are insane and are going to look so good in our engine bay. What's really cool about this company is they will do anything you want for motor mounts. You can get custom color bushings if you want to go with a bushing route. You can do any color, and then their newest option, I believe I actually have the first set of the all-wheel drive polished mounts, which are going to look insane because, as you guys know, the whole accent color with this car is yellow billet and obviously the blue on our chassis. But I'm excited to get this motor dropped back into this car to see how good it looks with these motor mounts. Well, here we go. We have the new gorgeous innovative mounts installed. These things look absolutely killer. We are about ready to go ahead and drop the car onto the motor. But the design aspect of these are quite different, and there's a lot of adjustability with these mounts, which is really cool. As you guys can see, there's 2 holes on the rear plates. As for the Hasport, there's only 1 adjustable point. Also, the mounting point is a little bit different. This triangulates and uses these 3 holes, as the Innovative uses these 3. But other than that, it's very similar. The rear end plate is also a little bit different. This is a 2-piece design, but it all utilizes essentially the same mounting points, except the Hasport utilizes this one down here where this one does not. Again, here is all of the different adjustability. There's 2 spots. You can have this forward or more further back, which is kind of cool. But let's go ahead and drop this thing in.
You said there's 3 that you're looking at.
Oh, I can't have it as wallbefore.
I can give you his old one.
No, I'm just fucking around. So the motor is back into the car for the second time. We can remove our dolly. I guess we'll probably raise up the car a little bit now. Now these mounts look absolutely amazing, and there we go. Our motor is back into the car. It looks fantastic. A big thing that we can now do, first we need to go ahead and install our T-case. I did remove that to get the motor and trans in. It seemed to make it a lot easier. So we're gonna go ahead and bolt that up. But we also have our brand new oil pan. Now we can finally remove this crusty pan. That's tightening. You're gonna need a tetanus shot after touching this thing, jeez. Also for you guys that were, why is there a towel in there? I did it because I didn't want that crusty pan touching my internals. Now this is what I call a high quality pan. If you guys recall from a couple episodes ago, when I got my first oil pan, it was probably the worst product I've ever seen in my life. And I since then purchased this Unit 2 pan, which is absolutely gorgeous. This pan is probably the nicest pan I've ever bought. Even all of these holes are dimple dyed rather than just drilled open, so it helps the flow better. Yeah, this thing is gorgeous. Just look at those welds. All right, now with our motor and trans back into the car for hopefully the final time here, we're able to button everything we needed to inside. We need to work our way onto doing some interior stuff, which is currently our dash. There's a few modifications that I have done off camera here, and the first one is I now have a carbon piece here. Originally, this is what the factory OEM piece looks, but since I'm deleting everything, I'm essentially going full race car. I opted in to get this gorgeous carbon fiber piece that deletes all of this, and we are going to be mounting our CAN controller right there. That carbon piece is gonna make the interior look really good, but also simplify things so I don't have a ton of switches and stuff that I don't need. It's gonna look gorgeous when we get this bolted on, but we are also adding a few other things like a fire suppression system, so our switch will be somewhere in this vicinity as well. I don't think I'm gonna be adding anything else because our kill switch will be on the back of the bumper. I don't need to have one on the inside. So I think for the time being, we're gonna have this centered up and then our fire suppression probably around here. We are also changing up our dash a little bit. We are running the Haltech IC7, as if you guys don't know, We did get a Nexus R5 that we still have to wire into the chassis, but I was waiting to do that until we get our turbo kit made. That way I know exactly how to run the wires. But for the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and throw this thing in. 4 simple bolts bolted in. We can now just pop in our cover piece, and this thing is going to look insane. This looks so good. It looks so OEM, but it's going to look sick once we finally get power to this car. We can customize the screen to do whatever you want. It's gonna look so sick, but now let's go ahead and drill our 4 holes to get our controller mounted. But I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and grease up the end of these 4 bolt holes, place it where we want, pull it off, and then that way we know where we're drilling into.
It's discontinued.
Damn, I need a hole saw. Oh, I should have. Finally. And there we go, a nice clean install. We're gonna be able to run all our cables right in the dash since we aren't utilizing anything. We're gonna have a very nice tucked look. We're probably gonna channel all of it in the middle and then tee it off to where our ECU is gonna go. But here's a little look from the beginning, or the front of it, I should say. And before we can make our way to throwing the new dash into the car, we have to deal with the pedals. Now, originally these cars come with a drive-by cable, but Rywire released their new drive-by-wire pedal. So we're gonna go ahead, cut this one off, bolt this one on, get the pedals placed in, and have a new drive-by-wire system, and then we can get the dash, the steering wheel, and all of that stuff installed. Now with our pedal assembly done, we have it bolted up to our slave and master. That way we don't have to mess with it later on. We can now install our dash. I cannot wait to see what that thing looks like in here now. Oh, this is so sick. I'm actually a little bit speechless right now, guys. This, ooh, we got the pedals. It's also probably the easiest this dash has ever gone in. I've only done it a few times now. Our ECU mount is right there because we're gonna have the ECU mounted right here. This car is coming out. Oh, it's perfect. This is coming together. Fuck yes. Yes, yes, yes. It has been so much putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, but finally this should not have to come back out. At least I'm hoping. Because we can access everything. We can build our custom box for our ECU. We shouldn't have to remove this or anything like that. We have so much space underneath the glove box here. Even if I have to do any brake lines, I mean, this is just all open space. I can just squeeze under there. We still are waiting for my custom hard lines. I'm gonna be building them myself, but I next date them, but unfortunately it's been the weekend, so they haven't come yet. So I'll do that off camera. Gonna build a custom line to our hydraulic handbrake, which let's go ahead and install. Now this is a CNC pass-through handbrake. This is an old school one that I've been told is old school, at least way before my time, but I got a good deal on them. You can't buy them anymore, so. And it matches the car. It's a billet one. And of course we have our titanium polished hardware we're using. Keep all of this looking nice. Oh dude, I've never had a handbrake before. This is awesome. To end off today's video, we have one last modification we need to do to this car to make it look more like a car here, and that is our carbon fiber hood. Now I opted for the OE style. There's no fancy vents or anything like that. It is sad I will be cutting into this hood when I get my turbo kit made, because I'm gonna have the exhaust and wastegate come out the hood and whatnot, and then my hood latches, because I now have no front core support. Well, I do, but a tubular one. So we are gonna be cutting into it, but it's going to look insane. But let's go ahead and throw it on here and see how it looks, because we do have, if you guys haven't seen, my carbon hatch. We're gonna be doing carbon lips, all of that stuff. So there'll be a ton of carbon on this car. As you guys saw, our dash has that carbon piece now. So I'm hoping that it looks good, but there is always that chance that the carbon does not look good. Just gonna clear there. Honestly, the fitment is not that bad for a Sibon hood for literally just bolting it on. The fenders are still loose on here. This thing looks good. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this hood looks insane. It's gonna look so much better too when we have our headlights on, our front bumper, but this thing looks sick, and especially we're gonna have our exhaust coming out right here. It is going to look so good. And then later down the road here, nitrous, purging out. And this thing is going to be insane. Oh, it looks so good. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are getting more excited with this build as we are getting very, very close to the completion of this thing. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to continue watching the build series and all of the future shenanigans we have going on, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.